Hey everybody, Easi here. Today I want to take you through buckwheat as a cover crop. How to plant it, why you want to plant it, and what to expect from it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy the video, please hit the subscribe button below, notification button, let a friend know. Thanks. Buckwheat is fairly easy to get and it's inexpensive. It comes as a seed, and I'll show you. They're fairly large seeds, these pyramid-shaped things. I buy that in bulk, by the scoopful, and we're going to broadcast it by the handful. So, I don't know, a full bag of this might cost a person, at least me, around here it was about $3 to $5, I can't remember exactly. So I'm going to plant the buckwheat where the garlic was. You'll see in a previous video I just pulled up the garlic and we've hung it to cure and dry. It's left this open bed. I've come through it, I've weeded it, and now I'm going to seed it with some buckwheat as a cover crop. I'm also going to do an area over in the back where some of the early peas are already done. We pulled the fencing out. I want to improve the soil closer to the fence. One of the things that buckwheat is really good at doing is help improving the overall condition of your soil. Some people will use it to create new ground for gardens and such. It usually takes 3 successive plantings in a row to get enough of the conversion of nutrients and plant matter back into the ground to establish a garden. But for what I do, I will always just find those holes in the garden once they open up, and if I don't have a crop to put in there, I'll put a cover crop of buckwheat in. It's really quick at growing. So buckwheat is a speedy short season crop. It establishes, gets the bloom, the flowering, and ready to be incorporated back into the soil within 35 to 40 days. If you want to harvest the grain off of it, then it will take about 70 to 90 days to get that done. Why you'd want to use buckwheat is it suppresses the weeds. So I mentioned I'm putting it in where I open up the garden and I pull the crops out that are done. I throw the buckwheat down and that'll help keep the weeds from growing because it will cover the whole area. It attracts beneficial insects and pollinators with all the flowers that come off it. It gets really nice white flowers that come off of it, and bugs love it, the good ones. It's really easy to kill as well. There's some cover crops you can try to use. I've tried clovers before, or rye. Actually, it was a rye I've tried before, and it was really tough to dig up after it had done its thing. This buckwheat is very easy and doesn't become invasive, I find. So what the buckwheat does is it takes up phosphorus that is unavailable to your crops. It then releases the nutrient as it breaks it back down. The roots are also good too. What they do is they release mild acids that release nutrients from the soil. Acids also activate slow-release organic fertilizers like rock phosphate. So it's really good for releasing nutrients for your plants to grab onto. Buckwheat thrives in low fertility soils. That's part of why I'm going to be putting it over on the far side of my garden near the fence. I've had a couple crops of peas now that just don't grow very well on that side of the garden. It's also the place I'm least likely to get the horse manure to, that we amend our soil with in the fall. I'll show you that in the fall when we do that stuff. But so I really want to focus some buckwheat in over on the fence line so I can improve the soil. It's going to help me rejuvenate the soil itself. I mentioned earlier it can be used for rejuvenating old gardens or over-farmed soils. People will plant these as a cover crop and then dig them under once they reach the point that they should be dug under. It does not do well in compacted soils, drought, or excessively wet soils. It will regrow after mowing it, so you can let it grow. You can then cut it. That stuff that falls will help incorporate into the soil some nutrients, but you want to cut it before it reaches 25% of bloom. So before 1/4 or 25% of the flowers have flowered, because if you wait too long, then you're going to end up dropping seeds back into your soil, and at that point you'll end up with a second crop. Now sometimes you want to reseed and have that second crop, that's okay. For this purpose, at this time of year, we're on July 31st today, I'm not looking at doing a multiple crops here or establishing a garden. I'm using it to provide some nutrients, release some of the nutrients from the soil for next year's crop, and to really for a lot of weed suppression. That's going to be the big part for me. The flowers have a nectar source. The white flowers attract, I mentioned, the beneficial insects. Some of these insects will actually attack or paralyze aphids, mites, and other pests. So they can be helpful for organically or without chemicals keeping some of your pests down. The flowers usually start within 3 weeks of planting and continue up to 10 weeks. The buckwheat itself prefers the light to medium well-drained soil. Does poor in heavy wet soils. You want to kill your buckwheat about 10 days after the flowers begin if you don't want to have that second crop coming up or it to drop its own seeds. So within 10 days of the flowers starting, that's when you'll cut it, and then you'll have it fall to the ground. I leave it there and I just let it dry and die on the ground. You can dig it in. That's eventually what happens. It becomes part of the organic material for the soil. So I'm going to end up just doing a quick demo here, not much to see. That's why most of this video is talking with at least something pretty behind me, hopefully some sunflowers. And I'm going to rake this area. I'm going to broadcast spread the seeds. I'm going to re-rake it a little bit to have some of those seeds, most of them hopefully fall in and under. And then I'm going to water this. We're going to keep it watered, keep it moist until we start getting the plants to establish. It's turned pretty warm here now. We've got full sunny days. We're plus 30 degrees Celsius at this point. So I'll really have to stay on top of watering this to help get it established. So the way I like to spread these seeds out is just by the handful. I'll just take a whole bunch at a time and I will just start sprinkling them, keeping my hand slightly closed, shaking it back and forth and letting them come out. And I'm just going to try to you don't need to worry at all about distribution. Just do a whole bunch and just broadcast them out to all the areas you want to get your stuff growing. And be generous. I've never had an issue with overcrowding of my buckwheat. So what I do from there is I do a light raking to try to get some of it turned under. I don't want to rake everything to one side of the garden, or else you just have a patch of buckwheat growing in the far side. So I just try to do a light kind of flicking and raking. Don't pull a lot towards me. Now I want to water it. Make sure you give it a really good soaking the first time. Once I do this, I'm going to be watering from the side, not walking over the bed, obviously. So that's a quick how to plant your buckwheat, why, and all that good stuff. I wanted to show the video now because there might be people out there with gardens right now that have those spots that are open and they're not planning on planting anything else in there, and they might want to improve their soil. Now's the opportunity. We still have enough days left in the season to get the whole thing happening. I will provide updates though as I go, so you can see the crop once it grows, how far I let it grow, and then I'll actually do another video and I'll take you through how to chop it down and incorporate it into your soil. But for now, I wanted to get this video out to you guys, just so if you're thinking of doing it, get on it, do it. It's worth doing. There's very little risk. not a lot of cost issues up front, and yeah, it's going to only help things for you in the future here. So thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button below, hit the thumbs up, your notification bell. As I put more videos out, that'll let you know when it's happening. If you have any questions or comments, as always, feel free to make them, and I'll definitely do my best to respond in the best way I can. So again, thanks for watching, and have a great day, everybody. Take care. Bye.